So let's move on to the big one, the best TV of the list. Now I've done my list a little bit differently. I've got because I always struggle with the TV list 'cause there's always even with a pandemic, there's just still so much great
It's possibly
television.
worse with the pandemic, actually, but yeah.
Mm. But we still got a hell of a lot of good shows this year. So what I've done is there's two shows I want to just mention. They are 2019 seasons, so I'm not actually officially including them in the list, but I did see them this year, and I've just got to give them shout outs. So this isn't actually like a inclusion in the list. I just want to give these two shows a shout out. One of them is Dragon Prince, great third season, and the other one is Working Mums, which I'm still watching at the moment. Now there is a Working Mums season in 2020 because there was one released this year, but I'm not on that season yet, so it might be a terrible season of TV. I don't know. I doubt it, but I don't know yet. I've just started the third season, which I think is last year's season, but just wanted to give them two a big shout out because they were both brilliant. So I've got 15 shows, and then I've got three honourable mentions. The three honourable mentions are in no particular order. Those are The Undoing, the miniseries, which me and Gray talked about last week or the week before, the series finale. That's a spoiler-only podcast, so only listen to that if you've seen the episodes. Stargirl Season 1, the new DC Universe, now HBO Max or CW show, depending on where you watch it. And the Umbrella Academy Season 2, I thought was very, very good as well. So 15, 16, 17, yes, even though I've got 18 shows here and they're all in different places and whatnot, I do love all of these shows. So if a show is in a particularly lower spot than what you thought it might have been, I still thought it was a great season. So let me just get into my list. So at number 15, The Outsider. I thought they did some really, really good stuff horror-wise with that limited series again from HBO. They've been very successful with their sort of limited series that they've done in the last few years and that. But a limited series from them, this sort of investigation into these murders and everything, and the murders were sort of very weird because there was something else going on. I think the finale let it down a little bit, which is why
Possibly.
it's lower in my list. I just thought they could have. It was very good. It just could have been a bit better, and the actual explanation as to what was going on was not quite. I think it just could have been a little bit better in that sort of regard. Number 14. This is a very harsh list, so just be prepared. Number 14, I'm going to put The Mandalorian. Second season. We did get both seasons this year, but the second season is the most recent. Again, fantastic season of television. We just did the review for it, like I mentioned, the must-see rating for the season 2. I really, really like what they've set up for the future of Star Wars television, not just for the next season, but for the future of all that. I thought they did some really, really good work with the character development. I think the implementation of new characters and or returning characters from other Star Wars things was really, really good. I really enjoyed that. There wasn't really a character in the show that I felt like was just, okay, we'll put them in here because they're popular, or we'll put them in here because it will be cool, or anything. But I thought they were implemented into the show really good, and sometimes, like I said with Titans, if you just shove a bunch of cool characters into your show, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work, but it very much did with The Mandalorian, and I really enjoyed what they did with that. Number 13 is going to be BoJack Horseman, all the way back in, I think, January was the second half of that, the final season. I thought they ended the show really, really well. I thought that going kind of deeper with the more mental things that were going on with BoJack himself and sort of revisiting his past and mistakes that he'd made and that kind of thing. But they settled things really well. I really like where they ended things, and I definitely, I definitely enjoyed that season very much. Number 12, is going to be The Walking Dead. For the 10th season, kind of split up weirdly. We had the obviously 15th episode in April, and then the 16th episode, the season finale, all the way in October, so we didn't really get a start of season 11 this year, unfortunately, because of the pandemic. I think Angela Kang continues to just do an amazing job with that show, picking up the pieces after Mr. Gimple got pushed into the corner, so to speak. Got pushed to a different role, if you want to call it that. He's still hanging around, but he's not the showrunner anymore. What Angela Kang has done with the show was great. I thought what they did with the Whisper storyline was really good. A good tease and set up for the next season as well, and just has made The Walking Dead so much better, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Number 11 is going to be The Walking Dead World Beyond, doing the job of two shows, kind of, like how we talked about on the podcast, because Fear the Walking Dead was supposed to be the one that explained what happened in the past and how this outbreak started, and they sort of started it and then skipped over the rest of it. And then several years later, Walking Dead World Beyond comes around, does really, really good job with the present day storyline, with the whole CRM thing and what's going on there and the objective that the characters had to do. Tied in the use of tying in the backstory of each character episode by episode, but not in like a bottle episode sense. I remember we said they did a really good job with that, as well, sort of tying that into the present day storyline relating to that character of that episode, and then also using those flashbacks to further the lore of what had happened in the past, which was what Fear was supposed to do. So just doing multiple good things in the first season. It's got its second and last season, hopefully next year, because it's meant to be 2 seasons. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Number 10, I don't think I've mentioned ever watching the show on anything, so this is going to be a complete surprise. Number 10 is going to be Schitt's Creek. I thought the final season was fantastic. I did watch most of it this year, but the final season was this year as well. I think what the Levy family, I suppose, did with that show was great. A lot of really good humour, some really, really heartwarming moments. The show had helped a lot of people, from what I understand, with different LGBTQ things and like all the things they did with that. I thought the show ended really well, very satisfyingly. I thought what they did with the characters was great. Moira's outfits continued to get more ridiculous and just funny throughout the show. I thought that was great, and overall just a really good feel-good sort of show, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. Number 9 is the limited series called Stateless. This was Yvonne Strahovski she was on Dexter, I think. She was on 24, Live Another Day, and she's also in A Handmaid's Tale. A story about border control and telling both sides of that story, really, the sort of prisoners there and the guards, and life outside of the sort of prison, I suppose you could call it. Delving into what that does to the humanity of different people. Phenomenal acting from pretty much everybody in the show, and it's very, very heartwarming, very tragic in certain places, but I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was great. Number 8 is going to be 911, the original show, not Lone Star, the original show. I mean, I've said on multiple occasions about how good this show is. Makes you care about the red shirts more than what any TV show has done. I mean, I've not seen like the old Star Trek and stuff where they did things with red shirts. And
nobody cares about the red shirts in the old Star Trek. Don't worry.
Yeah, but yeah, one of the few shows that makes you care about the sort of red shirt characters. You want them to be saved. You want the team to do well. Again, incredible heartwarming moments, some good comedy moments in there as well. Great character development, great characters. Just does everything really well of what it's trying to do. So that is going to be number 9 on my list. Number 7, Better Call Saul season 5. Really just furthering the character of Saul more into becoming Saul, the name of our podcast for the show. Some really, really great work that they did with Kim this season, as I mentioned earlier, with Rhea Seehorn being my choice for the best actress for 2020. Giancarlo Esposito, again, as Gus, just always brilliant. I mean, there isn't really a bad actor in the show or any sort of bad performances, so everybody does a great job across the board. Really, really good way to set up the final season. We don't know if it's in 2 parts yet, but it's going to be the 6th and final season. Just a really, really great show. Some incredibly tense moments. I'm sure you know what I'm referring to, David, in some of the later episodes, but just brilliant. Thought that was great. Number 6 is going to be Afterlife, the 2nd season from Ricky Gervais. A very good follow-up from very, very emotional. I think that's a good way to sort of put it. Both in good ways and in bad ways. A very, very emotional show. Ricky Gervais just doing work of art like he pretty much always does with most of his shows. Thought it was a great follow-up. I'm very interested to see what they do with season 3, because usually he does 2 seasons of something and then does like some specials or something like that, like what he's done with The Office and other things. So we're going to get presumably another 6-episode season, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what he does with that. Number 5, The Kingdom, which I don't know if it's actually got a 3rd season or not. I still don't know. Another the theme here, zombie stuff. Really, really good follow-up with what they did with the second season, delving more into not just the cause of the virus, at least in their particular world, but how it might be solved eventually. Doing some really good stuff with the heir to the throne, the young boy that's in the show, and all that sort of thing. Some really, really good zombie set pieces in there. Just fantastic stuff. There's lots of scenes in the kingdom where it's just endless sort of, you got to keep running away from the zombies, and it's just such a thrill to watch as well. Number 4, the one and only season of I'm Not Okay With This. I was blown away by this show. Short, sweet, to the point, didn't waste any time. I think it was 6 or 8 episodes, about 20 minutes or half an hour each. Really, really good stuff. Some crazy powers that the character had. I thought that was great. It's really a shame that isn't coming back for a second season because of how the first season ended. But I was pretty blown away by that. I thought the character development was great, and just everything that they did was really, really good. Number 3 is going to be Westworld Season 3. I absolutely loved what they did with the technology in this third season. Still having kind of a Western feel to it, but going into the city, using just loads of different sci-fi elements with the weapons, which I pointed out on our Reviewing Westworld podcast. You've got like sniper drones and all sorts of really, really cool stuff. You've also got the addition of Aaron Paul from this season. Of course, Jesse from Breaking Bad, he played a character, I think it was Caleb, I think that was his name in the show.
Yeah.
Teaming up with Dolores for better and for worse. Dolores got some incredible character development this season, and they just did so many good things with that third season. I think it's the best season of the show as well, and I'm very much looking forward to what they do with season 4. Number 2 is going to be Good Girls Season 3. Excellent payoff and follow-up to season 2. Excellent story for season 3. And a really good setup for season 4. Is that filming at the moment? Do you know? Because it has been renewed.
I think so. Yes.
Because I don't want that to get cancelled. But
no, I believe it. I believe it is coming back. Third season cut. Yeah, it's renewed for a fourth season. I'm not sure whether it's filming, but it is renewed for a fourth
Hopefully
season.
we actually get to see that. But yeah, really, really good third season. Up the stakes significantly, which is interesting for a show like this. Up the stakes for this season, and just had some really good drama and everything. Some great character development, and I just thoroughly enjoyed the third season of Good Girls. And number 1, the only show I've left off this list so far, the only show I haven't mentioned yet. Again, might be a little bit of an obvious one. Number 1, the best show of 2020, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. Yeah.
I had that down as yours.
Nice.
Yes, I kind of guessed that's where we were going.
Yeah. But yes, number 1, Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist Season 1. A show that took me by surprise in ways I didn't expect. I didn't think the idea sounded very good from the start. Had some potential, but worked way better than what it probably should have, or maybe could have. Got me more into kind of musicals as well, because I've since checked out other musical things like the High School Musical series and everything. Again, sticking to the theme of heartwarming, very, very heartwarming. Some really sad moments. Some great music. The idea of having music tying into the narrative of the characters' thoughts, using that to progress the story, develop the characters, develop the relationships between the characters. Sometimes in some very awkward scenes where you're with Zoe experiencing somebody doing an interesting kind of song or whatever, but all of it worked just so well. And yeah, it was great when I heard on Geektown that, of course, it was filming for its second season, because I didn't want that to be another victim of COVID as well. But it's got an air date. I think it's like the 4th or the 5th of January. Hopefully E4 can land the dart in the right place and give us an air date sooner rather than later, or just give it to somebody else. I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But goodness me, what a season of television. That is my number 1. Switch back. Let's go to Gray first. What is your television list for 2020?
Thank you very much, Matt. So it's really good to hear your list, and it's good that between the three of us, I know we have a lot of things that cross over, but we are quite diverse in our viewing as well. Mm-hmm. A couple of things that you feature in yours do feature in my top 10, but I will do honourable mentions. It is a really tough list. I think I've noted down I've watched over 300 complete series this year. They're not just 2020 shows; they are from the past. They're rewatches. but I've watched a lot of TV, so to have a top 10 was quite hard. I got it down to about 17 last week, and then I scrolled it down to 10. Honourable mentions are just going to go out to Umbrella Academy, Dead to Me, Home, which is the Channel 4 sitcom about a refugee who got in the boot of a family's car, Aquafina, Criminal UK, Adult Material, McMillions, Schitt's Creek, and High School Musical, a musical. So they're all honourable mentions, but I'm going to dive straight into my top 10. In at number 10, one of the moments where me and Matt cross over is 911. It's my highest ranking procedural on the list. It is my favourite procedural. It absolutely blows all the others out the water. The storytelling, the characters, it doesn't follow the typical pattern, and therefore it brings originality, and it's got some, it's got some great storylines and peril and themes, so I mentioned earlier when I talked about one of the films, like if you have the theme of fathers, then you just know that will run as a nice little thread throughout the whole episode, and you'll see all these situations where people are in situations with their fathers, and then the characters will be dealing with that. So that's been a really good series this year, and I can't wait for that to come back next year. So that was number 10. Number 9, surprising that this is up on my list, but this is Alex Rider, the Amazon Prime series. I really enjoyed it for a youth sort of action novel that's been turned into a TV program. It was really good, quite dark, but also quite action packed. Really good sceneries, really good characterizations, and I'm really pleased that's been picked up for a second season. So that is at my number 9. And then straight away, another Amazon program, which I know that David's probably going to talk about. This is where me and David crossover, is Upload. Upload, fantastic program. One of those I binged really quickly, just different. And there was a little bit of promo, but not huge amounts of promo around it. You had to go and look for it, and I know I've recommended it to people as well. It's a really good story, a really good idea, and actually it's a really nice performances and storylines, and a very beautiful world as well, which is frustrating to watch, but I definitely enjoyed it. Go on to number 7 now. This is the latest season of a program I've watched for many years called Insecure. It's on Sky Atlantic. And it's just a really good portrayal of a black woman in the media industry, in the charity promotions and media industry in LA, and I really enjoyed that. And it stars Issa Rae, and Issa Rae has been across a lot of TV programs and films this year. She's really upped her profile, but I really love it. It's really honest and funny, and it was on Sky Comedy, I think it came out this year. That was number 7. Number 6, thinking all the way back to the very early part of the year, Sex Education is going to take my number 6. Just the beautiful visuals, where it's shot, the timeless, what era are we in, and we're watching this in. Gillian Anderson, need I say more? Absolutely enjoyed that. That's at number 6. Number 5, a big respect to the FX deal at BBC for bringing us Love Life, the first season starring Anna Kendrick. I really enjoyed it. I just loved the idea of this program that, it's about her journey to meet her person that she's going to spend the rest of her life with. And each episode is about her time with a different person and how it develops her slightly more. And I'm really excited about that coming back for a second season as well. And it's going to star the actor from A Good Place,
William Jackson
That's
Harper?
it.
I think that's
Yes.
it.
That's the one. And it's really good to hear that she's going to be in it as a background character, but it's going to be his journey. So really excited about that too. In at number 4, I think actually better than season 1 was Boys season 2. It went on a really good journey and really developed the characters, gave us more action, got to the real depths of the other characters, and wasn't always about the boys in a sense. The boys had a lot of screen time in season 1, but looking at more of the 7 and the journey one of my favourite characters went on and became my most hated character by the end, is going in at number 4. Number 3, a gem. This was a Corona success, and that is Staged. So I'm going to go for that. David Tennant and Martin Sheen. The only thing I really enjoyed Martin Sheen in this year, I know that you guys may love Prodigal Son, but I really struggled with it. But I absolutely loved him in Staged, and I know they're doing a second season. I've seen the highlights of that already, and it's just a really clever, simple idea. Two national treasures in my mind that we absolutely enjoyed watching, and yeah, I can't wait to see that. In at number 2 is Matt's number 1. It's where Zoe is taking absolutely fell in love with this program. It's what we needed during that first Corona hit, wasn't it? It was exactly we needed that feel good drama with great emotional hits, but the singing, the creativity of like where they placed the plot and the narrative, and absolutely loved that. That's going in at number 2. And then my number 1, and I mentioned her as my best actress earlier, is going to be I May Destroy You from BBC iPlayer. Just a groundbreaking drama, and it absolutely came out at a really pivotal time in what was going on in our own society. And I absolutely absorbed that drama. I was absolutely taken away by it. And, it was around the time where people were getting into their Normal People or their Tiger King or all these great TV programs that were getting a real hype during the lockdown. But I May Destroy You really hammered home some of what was going on in our society. And I really loved it. And I think she's just a fantastic writer and actress. And I am enthralled whenever she comes to do something for British television, and I would be there every time she puts something on the TV at the moment. So that is my top 10. Yes, I really enjoyed TV this year. I think I've had a renaissance with it because I've had a lot more time inside, as we all have. But that is a really broad spectrum of my top 10.
Yeah, I'm going to throw Dead to Me and Staged in my honourable mentions as well. I sort of slightly forgot to put them in the list. But those are brilliant as well. So, David, your turn.
Well, honourable mentions again. I think 911 for me. He's a great show. I don't watch that many of those sort of procedurals, but if you are going to watch one, watch 911. He's brilliant. Lone Star's quite good as well, but I think the main show does it even better. Better Call Saul, great this year. Afterlife, I thought was great this year. Walking Dead and Walking Dead World Beyond. Walking Dead World Beyond slightly less so than the main show, but I think it is doing something interesting and different. And to be fair, I'm probably not the age group it was originally aimed at anyway. And The Boys season 2 as well, I thought was brilliant. Really kind of moved things on. I also wanted to give a shout out to Warrior Nun as well.
I still need to watch
which
that.
Was a little series that popped up on Netflix from Simon Barry, the guy that did Continuum. And I really enjoyed Continuum. I wasn't sure how I was going to be with this because it's got the sort of, it's more kind of mystical and it's got sort of religious elements in it. But it's a solid lead. It's a really interesting, funny character. She's very dry and very sarcastic. I love the way that they've played with that. It's very different to the book, but it really works as a TV show as well. So I really enjoyed Warrior Nun. I also give a shout out to Gangs of London because I thought that was superb, and The Vow as well, which was just an immense documentary series. I am actually now watching Tiger King. I hadn't seen it at the time, but I've literally this week started watching Tiger King, which is an incredible series. But The Vow also just an amazing, just bonkers story, which is available on Sky Documentaries and really worth going to watch. In terms of my top 10 list, Snowpiercer, which neither of you mentioned.
I haven't seen it, so
I didn't finish it in the end.
Really? No.
No.
Okay. So Snowpiercer, which I really enjoyed that series. I thought it was, again, an interesting, different take, both from the book and from the film version as well. They do a number of things quite differently. It takes this idea of this sort of a slightly out there idea of a train which basically has to keep moving, and it has the entire population of the Earth on it, and it's this huge train that sort of has to keep going, and there's sort of mystery and intrigue and stuff that goes on it. I think the casting's really good. I really enjoy where they went with the story. I loved where they ended it, and I'm really intrigued to see where it's going to go with the second season, which lands in January. So that is one definitely to look forward to. Number 9, I have Breeders, which is a comedy which was on, I think it was on Sky One, aired it over here, and it was on FX in the US. This stars Martin Freeman and Daisy Haggard as a couple as of parents, and it is no right to be as funny as it is, given that that's basically the premise. It's two British parents, raising kids. That's pretty much it. But it's from Chris Addison, who is a hilariously funny stand-up, and also writes and directs and works with Armando Iannucci on Veep and stuff. He's really funny. And Simon Blackwell, who's an amazing writer as well. It was those two that came up with it, along with Martin Freeman. And it's just wonderfully funny, and just looking at the idea of them just dealing with daily life. And the second season of that is also going to be dealing with the pandemic as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where they go with that, and that's returning next year. Number 8, Star Trek Picard, basically because I'm a huge Star Trek nerd, and it was just great seeing those characters back on screen in a slightly different format, and seeing I don't think it was perfect, and I don't think it did everything right, but it was just so nice to be able to go back and watch those characters again. I'm always going to be happy watching Jean-Luc Picard, and then having some of the other characters pop up and reappear, and moving sort of them into an interesting different area, which I think is what they're doing very, very well with Star Trek at the moment. They're doing different things with it, which I really, really enjoy. Mm-hmm. Number 7, The Umbrella Academy, which I know you both mentioned, but season 2 of that I really enjoyed, and I liked where they went with the sort of time jumping thing, because sometimes that can go horribly wrong, and I just think they did a great job with the second season of that. They're very interesting characters. They're very likable. I'm very happy that they're coming back for another season, and it is definitely renewed, and there's no cast changes or anything like that. It is staying the same. So and that again ended in a really interesting place. So I'm really intrigued to see what they do with the third season of that.
Did you see the Mary Klausmas video on YouTube?
No.
It's like a Christmas sort of song, but it's all about Klaus, sort of. It's quite funny.
I will have to go and look that up. That sounds very funny. Upload is my number 6 pick. I find it fascinating that both Greg Daniels and Michael Soar both went on straight after they did, because they had previously worked together on TV shows, and they both ended up going and doing a show which was about the afterlife. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but the very different approaches to it in both cases. I thought this one was really funny. Created by Greg Daniels, who I kind of slagged off earlier for not doing a great job with Space Force, but with this, I think he does a really good job. I think Robbie Amell is amazingly watchable in this as well. It's just the idea of sort of creating this digital afterlife, and the fact that he's sort of stuck there, and it's just wonderfully weird and strange. I wasn't sure whether this was going to be one season, but they have brought it back for a second season as well, so I'm very interested to see where they go with that. My number 5 is Star Trek Discovery Season 3. As I said with Star Trek Picard, I like what they're doing with Star Trek on TV at the moment. They're taking it in very different directions, and where they ended the second season with them jumping forward and being able to put the entire thing in a different timeline and explore a part of the Star Trek universe that we haven't seen before. I thought that was a really interesting thing to do, and it gives them a lot more freedom. And you've also got sort of stuff that's harking back to the older world and the new world, because you've got this ship which, you know, is from the past, is now in the future. So I've really, really enjoyed the third season of that, and casting's great, continues to be brilliant on that, and the storyline just gets stronger and stronger. Number 4 is Staged, which, I mean, was just one of the best things, probably the best thing to come out of the lockdown situation. From Simon Evans, Michael Sheen, David Tennant, and it is basically Michael Sheen and David Tennant just bantering backwards and forwards on video chat. And I mean, even if they hadn't constructed a show around it, I would sit and just watch 8 episodes of them doing that. So, you know, I just think the fact that they managed to build a show around that, and they've been talking about how they've managed to film it, and you know, David Tennant was sort of saying how people have commented on how it's really interesting that Michael Sheen's always in one place and you're always wandering our house, and he's like, yeah, because I'm trying to get away from the kids so you can't hear them in the background. So yeah, just the fact that they managed to record this and managed to do it in lockdown and were shooting the whole thing themselves, and it put together, and it was so funny, is a testament to the writing from Simon Evans and just the spectacular acting from Michael Sheen and David Tennant, and their partners, who were also brilliant in it. The whole thing just superb, and I'm so happy they're bringing it back for a second one. My number 3 spot goes to The Witcher, which I know technically again was December, but it was December 20th, so I think I
had that on my list last year, so because I finished it all before we did last year's podcast, so.
Right, okay. I don't think I had, so I'm putting The Witcher on my list this year. Cool. But I really, really enjoyed that. I don't think it was flawless. I think the thing with them jumping around in time needed a bit more explanation, and because they kind of left you to realise that it wasn't all running on one timeline, and they could have pinpointed that a little bit better. But the casting was superb, the storyline was superb. It's a really decent, faithful adaptation of it. I know they've been kind of going in and out of shutdowns for like COVID reasons on the next season, and I hope that hasn't affected them too much. And they've also managed to damage Superman, which is never a good thing. But I hopefully that they're kind of back on track and they're all managing to move forward with that. So I'm looking forward to that coming back. My second place, as with Grey, goes to Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. This was a phenomenal show. Really, really funny and a surprise. The music is great in it. The dance routines, it shouldn't work on paper. It does. I really can't heap enough praise on this, and some of the just heartbreaking moments in it. I mean, it's one of the few shows that have really brought a tear to my eye this year. Just some of the sections in that, despite the fact that it's this weird, strange musical comedy, there are sections in it where I've been, you know, you really do feel they're pulling at your heartstrings, and it does such a wonderful job. So beautifully put together. I love that show, and I'm so happy they're bringing it back for the second season. I just hope we get it reasonably quickly. And the number 1 for me is The Mandalorian, because we've had season 1 and season 2 this year. The season 2 finale was spectacular. They, as Matt sort of said, they have thrown in a lot of like fan service in this second season, but they've done it in a very intelligent way. There are reasons for a lot of those characters, in fact all of those characters, for being there. They are going to continue expanding this across TV. I just hope that it doesn't fall apart as they kind of grow this, because there is always a slight danger of that. But I think they've got solid people behind it with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They seem to be know what they're doing and steering it quite well. They have announced today that there is the Boba Fett series, which is going to be running, by the sounds of it, at the same time as Mandalorian Season 3, and it is definitely a separate season. So it is going to be a spin-off series, so I'm very much looking forward to that and seeing a bit more of the background of that character. I'm also looking forward to seeing where they go with The Mandalorian, having got to the end of Season 2 as well, because that is going to be taking a bit of a right turn at the end of that season now as well. So, yeah, I just think it's brilliant the way they put it together, and I think that they're going to be able to spin a lot of more things off it. And we've got all these new shows coming. The amount of stuff that was announced by Disney this year is insane. I'm fairly sure that a lot of the shows in my top 10 next year are probably going to be Marvel and Star Wars series, but we'll have to wait and see. There is some incredible stuff coming up in 2021.
Yeah, so that's all of our lists and choices and selections and everything for 2020. One thing we can agree on, Zoe's pretty good. Zoe's base is pretty good. So
yeah. I think if you take anything away from this show, it's go and watch that extraordinary playlist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not on all four at the moment, but you can actually go and buy the digital season on Amazon. So I'd recommend that you still go and do that. Yeah,
yes,
it'd be a good thing to watch for Christmas as well, so with all the music and whatnot, so because both of you had it at number 2 and I've got it at number 1, so yeah, Zoe is pretty good. So
definitely she should win an Entertainment Talk award for something. We should make an award for her.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we were going to say out of the three of us collectively what is Entertainment Talk's show of the year, it is that, because that's the thing that we all voted highest, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And that is what we've got for you for this episode. This isn't going to be the last thing recorded for the year, because like I said, I've got Man United's game against Everton to cover tomorrow. Hopefully that can end on a good part for that coverage for this year, and hopefully we don't lose. It's a quarter-final, and I'd like us to win a trophy. That would be good as well, so look out for that tomorrow. Just a quick note on the best and worst of 2020. I did actually decide this year, I was going to do it last year, but I actually scrapped the idea. I actually did record myself deciding this whole thing, and the it was recorded in I think 4 or 5 different sessions. I edited them all together and clipped them all together and stuff, and that's going to be an hour long. So mostly deciding where these 15 shows go, but look out, that will be released in exactly a week, so look out for that next week at midday. That is it's going to be called Deciding the Best and Worst of 2020, so look out for that. I just thought, I'm sitting here trying to think of what to do for the list. I might as well just record the process of that. So if you want to listen to that, you can do that as well. So there's that as well. There has been other things that have been recorded between now and the new year. There will be a surprise series being released the minute that 2021 starts. Excuse me. So from midnight on the 1st of January. So look out for that. The word that I've given for the hint is positive. So look out for that at the start of the year as well. That's going to be a little mini-series, and I'm looking forward to that getting released. I've recorded a couple of other things as well. They're going to be coming out over the next few days. But as always, everything that we do you can find on entertainmenttalk.org. TV, video games, films, and Manchester United. I don't know when I'll be returning in the new year for the Man United podcast, but at some point. We've got Liverpool in the new year as well, so possibly for that game. We shall see. So look out for all of that. David and Gray, thank you very much for joining me. This was very, very good to do, to celebrate the best of the year, and to also talk about the worst of the year, or some of the more disappointing things of the year. We only get to do this once a year. Speaking of the best things of the year, you can still go and vote on the Geektown Awards. That's until the 31st, isn't it?
They're open till the 31st of December, so you can still go and vote on there. That's geektown.co.uk/awards. If you go and vote in that, some of the shows we've been talking about, not all of them, but some of them are on that list, so you can go and pick some of them out of the categories. And when you enter in that, there is a huge geeky prize which I give away at the start of 2021, so you can have a nice start to the new year as well if you win that. So you'll be entered into a prize draw by just going out and filling out the form and picking what your favourite shows are. But that's geektown.co.uk/awards for that.
Excellent. You can also, just for your general TV and film news, geektown.co.uk and Geektown Radio on Tuesdays. There won't be one episode this week, but listen to last week's sort of wrap up for the year and all that sort of thing. So go and check out all of that. If you would like to support Entertainment Talk and the podcast, if you like what you've heard today, hopefully you have. If you have done, you can support us on Patreon, the $1 and $3 level tiers for ad-free podcast and review options. Word of mouth, you can simply tell people that you know about the content that we've got, and the debate that we've had here and things over the best and worst things of 2020, and for all of our other content as well. You can also do that through social media, Facebook, Twitter, different Facebook groups, or whatever you use these days. So do all of that as well. On the Twitch side of things, I don't know what Bex's stream is for Twitch necessarily, but if you want to just go and follow her on Twitch, you'll be notified when she goes live. That will be Trista Bytes, Trista, B-Y-T-E-S on Twitch. Go and follow her and you'll be notified when she goes live. I'm going to stream some things over Christmas. I don't know what exactly. Well, I know what games, but I don't know when exactly. But just follow me on Twitch as well, eTalkUK, and you'll be notified when I go live with different games as well. You can find Gray on Twitter at Gray the Geek. So
correct, yep.
Yep. So go and check out all of his thoughts on different things on Twitter. He's of course one of the rotating Geektown co-hosts. So just keep your eyes on the Geektown episodes.
I thought you said irritating then. Rotating. Unless I am irritating.
Right, rotating guests on Geektown. So go and check out all that. I'm gonna schedule some more Let's Play Sunday episodes over the Christmas break, so check out all those. Thank you all very, very much for a great 2020. It's been a different year, certainly. Let's hope that things get better next year and better quickly. But thank you all very, very much for the support and for listening to the episode and interacting and getting involved with all that. And again, thank you to David for this year, for everything that you've done, and for Gray to joining me for joining me for some of the episodes as well. Thank you all very much for listening. Have a great Christmas. Have a great start to the year. And hey, we've just recommended you a bunch of cool stuff to go and watch and play as well. So go and check out some of that as well. Thanks very much for listening, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.